Hi, everyone. Good evening. I had to redo my live stream because there were some things that were happening in the background. So, for those of you who are maybe watching earlier, I apologize. But hopefully, we can get through this in the next 15 minutes or so because I do love to share these things with all of you. Again, if you are finding me for the first time, my name is Joya Caso. I am an anxiety support coach and licensed psychotherapist, and I share resources here, information about mental health, because I specialize in helping women with stress, anxiety, or even unresolved trauma. And today we are going to jump into the topic of stress, anxiety, and panic attack, and really what is the difference between all these things or among all these things. And I just came back from an amazing weekend in Pittsburgh. I shared in a workshop on how to nurture our mental health in ways that bring honor to God. And it was so fun and so cool. If you all follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you will see there's short reel that I made about the retreat. The women's retreat is called Hope Lives. And if you are on my email list, you will absolutely get information on that for next year. This was my first time attending, and it was so great. And we stayed in the middle of nowhere, and that was, a true unplugging for me. And so, stress, anxiety, and panic attack, let's get into this, are actually under the umbrella of anxiety. Anxiety is the umbrella word. And, underneath that, you'll find different ways to describe anxiety. We call it alias, actually, right? So, panic is one, agitation, apprehension, stress, overwhelm. Um, those are different ways to describe how a person experiences anxiety. There is a thin line between stress and anxiety, and I understand how that can be interchangeable, if you will. With stress is almost like you're still aware, right? That you're maybe overwhelmed, or there's a lot of things that you need to do and you don't know where to start, or you feel tired all the time. These are the common statements that I hear from people, from my clients, when they describe their stress. Or stress usually, stress and anxiety definitely affects sleep and your day to day. But when you use those statements to describe how you're feeling, I've been so tired, I don't want to do anything, I feel like I'm just going with the flow, that could be the beginning stages of stress. It is important to also remember that there are varying levels or degrees of stress and anxiety, right? Like, meaning you can rate your experience of stress and anxiety either slow, medium, or high, or mild, moderate, and severe, right? And when it comes to stress, what you can, really, some of the most common signals really is the lack of sleep, less quality of your day-to-day activities, either you're under eating or overeating, so changes in your appetite, and less interest in hanging out with friends or connecting with people that you trust, or doing activities that you enjoy, right? So those are pretty much the common things with when it comes to stress that I hear from my clients. Now, when it comes to anxiety, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but just to reiterate, well, first of all, anxiety is an emotion, just like happiness, sadness, and excitement and those things, right? Or frustration. Anxiety is first and foremost an emotion, but it is also a very misunderstood emotion. And when someone mentions that they feel anxious, or if you start to realize that you are feeling anxious, what tends to happen? Think about it. We jump to conclusions that, it's an illness or it's a disorder or there's something wrong. And, uh, this is not normal, right? Or what is happening? Those are usually the things that we think about. And I will share this in another time. But anxiety and worry, or agitation, were my default response or reaction to things, right? To my situations. Any little change, uh, before my healing journey, any little change, I remember just doing this, this gasp, right? That was one of my reactions that led me to feeling anxious and really worrying about all the things, and borderline like really panicking. But and so if you're in that space, I just want to remind you that it is very possible to understand yourself better so that you can respond to your situations in ways that are helpful for you, in ways that are meaningful for you. So anxiety also has that, uncomfortability or discomfort. Anxiety brings a lot of discomfort. Why? Because there is a mental component as well as a physical component when it comes to anxiety. And I'm going to share some of those things tonight about, some of the physical sensations that come along with anxiety and why we feel so much discomfort. Uh, the number one reason why we feel so much discomfort when anxiety is present is because we do not understand how our body works and how it's connected to our minds. And in that connection, of course, a lot of things take place, right? And I've been in the mental health field for 20 years, and it is a common thread to within the this realm of just dealing with the challenges of anxiety. The most challenging part is not knowing what your body is doing when you have that palpitation, or when your breathing changes, or when your breathing becomes constricted and you're gasping for air, right? Or you start to tremble, or your muscles just lock in your jaw, right? Just kind of, lock in as well. And your face kind of crunches up, and every, like, all the changes that you're all of a sudden feeling in your body. But then you also have these thoughts of like, I'm not good enough. And why did I do that? Oh, I should have responded differently. Oh, now they don't like me because this is how I showed up, in that meeting or what have you. And then all of those things tie in with the fear of the future, of the uncertainty of what's going to happen next. Because I said this while I was talking to that person, now I'm having this anxiety, not only because of what I said, but because what's going to happen next. When it comes to anxiety, somatic work is going to be very helpful for you. The most common approach, and that has been passed down years and years and years, are cognitive behavioral therapy and DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, CBT and DBT. Those were the first generation of therapeutic approaches that we learned as a community of professionals, right? Even for myself, um, I, I started my master's degree program in social work in 2004, which is 20 years ago. And we really did only touch on CBT and DBT. However, because, we continue to evolve and grow and transform in this field, we have found, and there's, tons of research now. The Heart Math Institute does such a great job with their research, and just the beauty of, how they um, provide information about our mind body connection. There's so many other organizations, Somatic Experiencing International, um, the works of Dr. Janine Fisher, Dr. Vander Kolk, Dr. Marielle Bouquet, who is, in that field also of breaking cycles of intergenerational trauma, Dr. Jenny Wang, um, Dr. Judy Ho. Again, there's tons of just people, professionals, clinicians that are, um, teaching us or showing us more about the connection of the mind and the body. So, when it comes to anxiety, somatic work is very good, uh, a very good tool. Sensory motor psychotherapy approaches, also very good tools. Anything that involves your body, because it makes sense. If you have ever felt anxious, you know that your chest starts to beat fast, and faster, and you just, again, that gasping for air, you start to sweat, or maybe even you know start feeling dizzy or nauseous and butterflies in your stomach. Yes, if you're not addressing those things in your healing journey as you're overcoming anxiety, you are missing a big part of the journey. If it sounds strange to you, right, because you're used to just talking about your emotions, talking about the past or your experiences, give it a try, right? I encourage you to give it a try. You can email me. All of my information, will be in the description below this live stream. And feel free to let me know what your questions are, um, because this perpetual cycle of just feeling anxious and then feeling guilty for not understanding and then not having the tools, we can stop that cycle, right? We can stop it. Okay, so I will go back to those physical symptoms, but panic attack is that moment when you feel like there's no more escape. You feel like you're just gonna die, right? Like in that moment, it's like, This is the end of it. This is it. I'm, this is the end of my life. That is what a panic attack feels like. There is no escape, there's nowhere to go, right? Um, but you don't have to wait until you reach that point to seek help, right? There's tons of resources. Make sure that you sign up to download my free guide, Equip Your Mind to Cultivate Positive Change, because it is so important to work with both your mind and your body. So let's go back to the physical symptoms of anxiety. Your breathing has to change because that means that the anxiety is in that fight or flight mode, and your body wants to prepare you because this is what we call neuroception, where your body has picked up a signal. Your body has picked up a signal from your environment, and your body is telling your brain, oh, this is not safe, there's a threat, right? So your muscles have to tense up, your breathing has to change because you then now, are preparing for what is the most appropriate response, right? And you start to sweat because your brain, your mind is starting to overheat. So it has to release the overheat, the heat, right? And your shaking, again, that's part of the preparation for your survival. Uh, and these are all part of how your mind and body work, but it starts with the neuroception. It starts with the signals that it picks up from the environment. And then I may have also mentioned this in my other lives. Those signals are paired with memories in your mind, and then your mind and your body have to decide, and they have to decide very quickly. This is why all systems are go, right? Once you are in that space of feeling anxious, it's a go, right? So in our next live, we'll talk about interoception. And that means, like, so then neuroception is how the body picks up the signal from the outside. Interoception is, what do we do? How do we handle these signals that our body gives us? It takes 90 seconds for your body, your nervous system, to reset from all those changes I just mentioned when it comes to intense emotions. Now, if you are finding that you do not have the system to help you reset, you do not have the tools, or maybe you have the tools, but it's taking you longer than 90 seconds to reset, it is time. It is time to reach out. If you have a therapist already, if you have a coach, make sure that you ask them about the body, about what are some of those tools that you can use other than talking, describing, and using words, right? That's another live stream that I'm also thinking about. The nervous system doesn't only communicate to us in words. There are many ways that our nervous system communicates to us. And so that will also be very helpful when it comes to stress, anxiety, and, or panic attack. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. If you are ready to, set either consultation or an appointment with me, I am available. Make sure that you either schedule through my Calendly, which the link will be on here as well, or simply email me if you have any questions. These are the things that really, I'm passionate about and that drive me um, to continue the work that I do. So, thank you all so much for those of you who joined me live. And thank you for being patient with me. I had to, do a repeat. But hope to see you all again next week. Make sure you are on my email list by signing up to download my free guide. Take care, everyone.